There we go. And so tonight, it's a bit like the Oprah Winfrey show. Oh no, we shouldn't talk about that, should we? That's a mess. Anyway, we'll leave that for one side. But tonight, I'm very happy to have David Haire with us here in Belfast, and Stephen's come to listen to the old man chat as well. Look, there you go. So that's great. Thanks for coming, Stephen. And so, you know, what I'd like to do is, as with most of these Wednesdays now, is really get some insight into some of our leaders and find out, you know, what motivated them to get involved with the business. And so, you know, if we can kick it off, David, I'm going to share my screen, and I think we'll be able to see, with a bit of luck, some slides we fixed for you. Okay. Like we did this a little earlier. And let's see if I'm going to just, there's a button here I've got to check to that one there. And then that one. And hopefully, wait a minute, that one. Ooh, there it is. Whee, there we go. So there you go. So perhaps you could be kind enough to kind of just lead it off from how you got approached, what you were doing at the time, you know, how long ago that was, and why you decided it was a good thing to sort of follow up on. That's really where we want to start, I think.
Yeah, certainly. Basically, I was introduced to the product and business back in, would have been April or end of March 2015. My background is financial services and overseas property sales. That's what I've done really my whole life. Always been self-employed, and really what initially attracted me to it was obviously the product was the first thing that was the attraction regarding. It seemed to be an incredible product with no negative information on it at all. It all was very positive whenever I sort of did my own due diligence on it and looked at it. It all seemed great. The science behind it and the remarkable testimonials, which was probably the first attraction. Then when I realized there was no competition, that this was very unique in the world, regarding being the only natural product that's scientifically proven to raise this magic molecule, glutathione. It created a little bit of interest, but I wasn't really looking for a business opportunity. I mean, I was extremely busy at the time, and had been for 10, 15 years. And I was quite comfortable as well with things. I mean, had a nice lifestyle, had a nice sort of work-life sort of basis, and things were okay. So the product probably initially interested me, and then when I realized about the little business, we started to sort of look a little bit more deeper into that, and I sort of set my own sort of thoughts. Where my initial thoughts on the business was, well, if I can, you know, talk to a few folks and get enough money in every month to pay for my own product, that was probably success for me. I would have been happy enough with that, and I give myself a year to do that, to be realistic, because I wasn't gonna give it probably a lot of time. So that was back in April 2015, and that was the first week of April 2015. By the end of May of that year, I had earned enough money in that 1 month to pay for my product for the full year.
For the whole year?
I thought, wow, well, you know, yeah, maybe
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe we're on to something here. Maybe people actually do want this product, need it, and like it. But again, still wasn't really convinced on the business model, because it was relatively new to me. I looked at direct sales, network marketing in the past, and wasn't really successful in building a team. I was reasonably good at retailing product way back, and I'm talking about 20, 25 years ago. I played with something for a while with it, but always liked the concept, but probably didn't fully understand it. And we trundled along over the next few months, recommending the product, getting some remarkable feedback in regards to testimonials from folks that we had introduced it to. Had some great health results ourselves through through the family and whatnot as well. And come July, off we went to Spain as a family as normal. And I worked extremely hard all year, and for the past probably 12 or 13 years now, we take the full month of July off from the business, and we head over to Spain. We have a place over there, and we just take 4 weeks off. We don't talk about business, talk about work. We basically have barbecues, drink beer, sit on the beach, and just enjoy family time. And that's what we did. So July of 2015 was no different. And whenever we come back on the 12th of August of that year, £1,205 plops into my bank account from Immunotech. And I think that probably was my light bulb moment. That's when I realized that, oh, wow, I've actually been paid for the first time ever in my life to go on holiday.
Right.
Because I've always been self-employed. I never got holiday pay like some folks who were employed. So I thought, wow, I've just been paid, £300 a week for sitting on the beach.
That's good.
And I remember, we'd sort of Don Hutchison, we had sort of long chats, and he's been a great help and support throughout the whole 6 years. And he always used to talk about this residual income. And back then, I didn't really understand it until that point, when I realized that the people that, for those 3 or 4 months prior to July, the folks that were buying their product for their own reasons, their own selfish reasons, for their own health, the people I introduced to the business, again, for their own selfish reasons, they were running their businesses. They didn't care whether David Haire was in Belfast or in Alicante. So I really realized that they were doing that for themselves. So that was a sort of a light bulb moment within just the whole introduction to the thing.
Okay, so you said earlier that you had some experience or sort of flirted with other networks, but you didn't really understand it. What was the moment that kind of tripped for you, that made you realize that there was something more to the concept of network marketing with this company than you'd seen before? Because there was obviously something that changed, and suddenly you kind of thought, right, this is, apart from the check landing on your mat while you after your holiday, but there was something probably prior to that, I would think.
I think for me, it probably was, to be honest, maturity. Just really understanding it a little bit better, or maybe taking the time to understand it, or and I think with the product as well, is because when people get a result, they feel it and you see the result. So it's almost people can't help, talking to other folks about it. Right. So then,
so is there something in the follow-up that you did, do you think, with those people that created them the desire to stay with you and continue to build and stay with the product?
Yeah, I think probably I led with the product at the beginning, but I always brought the business model into the conversation, and it probably was very, very similar to my story. And I looked on it like, how would I think? So I thought, right, well, okay, well, my initial reaction was, great product. I want to use this for the rest of my life. I want my family on it for the rest of their life. And how can I get this for free? So I think that was key. So then I thought, well, if other people were thinking like me, there's a way of being able to get this for free, because I get my product for free. I can show you a way of getting the product for free, because the company obviously pay us a referral fee for recommending the product.
This is a really good point. I think, people that are looking at this and trying to get their head around how to sort of make a success of it. I think this is really important. What you're saying is that that initial reaction and follow through to make sure that they're really understanding the benefits of the product, because you're saying, I want to take this product and I want my family to take it for the rest of their lives. I mean, you don't hear that very often about products. Maybe people drink Coca-Cola just because they like it, but to sort of take a health product and commit to it. And I'm hearing that a lot. I mean, over these interviews we've had, with Wally Craig last week, 26 years. I mean, and a lot of other people for a long time. And I think it's important that we use those stories and understand that there's something very, very powerful about this that keeps people coming back and coming back. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and I think it's getting into people's mindset as well that this isn't. Sometimes it's not necessarily a quick fix. So quite often people would say to me, reluctantly they'll say, okay, well, give me a box and I'll try it.
Yeah.
And I say, well, listen, if you're only going to commit to a month, it would be very unfair, not only on yourself, because you may not get a result in a month, or you may not feel or see a result in a month. And you may then stop using the product and you'll miss out in the benefits. And I sort of explain, slow responders, fast responders, but you really need to commit this for 3 or 4 months and get that commitment so that they do get a result on it then. So I think
that's right. I mean, this is a very important thing, is that we know generally, I think our body response, you can say most people will get a response within 90 days. Some people get it quicker, but I think you're absolutely right. It's important to give that advice in advance, that they're not going to get expectations of something happening tomorrow. It's got to take. But the other thing you mentioned is clearly you have a love of that vacation every year for a month, and I know that you've had some trips to some wonderful places. So I was wondering if I could just move on the next slide and see some of the shots we've got there. Let's see if I can do that. I think it will work. Nope. Sorry. I thought I was getting really clever then. This is when I get techie.
Yeah.
Right, this one. There. I practiced this today. It did work.
Yeah.
There we are. Moving along, is it? It got stuck there somehow.
Yeah, I think we got stuck on the turtle on the beach.
Now it won't move at all. This is always fun when this happens, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, while it's catching up,
Morgan, yeah.
What?
Just call Pierce Morgan. He can help you out.
He's jacked his job in. He's no good anymore. Well, I don't know what's happened there, guys. It's for some reason it won't let me do anything. Well, let's keep talking anyway. So tell us a little bit about some of these great pictures, because there was a whole bunch of stuff there going. Some beautiful resorts. Where have you been so far, David?
Yeah, we've been to Palm Springs. Was our first trip away. That was in October. That was October of 2015. And again, that was another sort of a moment for me. We were just working away, and I believe it was dawn around sort of whenever we come back from Spain in July of that year. It says that with a little bit of effort, you could make the trip to Palm Springs in November. So we put a wee bit of effort into the business in August of that year, and we qualified. Catherine and I qualified to Palm Springs, and basically the company flew us, all expenses paid, from Dublin into San Francisco and then on to Palm Springs, which was just incredible, and it was great to meet. Then, we met with corporate, we met with other folks, the likes of, Doug McNabb and Wally Kralik, and John Solider, who had been in the business for 20 odd years at that stage, and you're sort of thinking, wow, where has this been? Which was just quite good. And that was another light bulb moment for us, where it really opened up to say that this company was real. And they really looked after us, which was incredible. We've been to Hawaii. As you see, that's a picture of Hawaii there.
Yeah.
You're still having trouble with these slides?
I am very big time. Yeah, it just won't have it, I'm afraid. I don't know why. So, but that's okay. It's a nice picture. So, we've some great trips. And that's obviously kept you and the family motivated to stay, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing about it is we've been paid on the 12th of every month since April 2015, and they sent us on these luxurious holidays around the world as well.
Yeah,
and for a very part-time business, this is
exactly.
very,
So
very part-time.
How much do you have to contribute towards the trips?
Not a thing. All expenses paid. The only thing we do is the diesel for the car to the airport. We pay for the car park at the airport, and Immunotech pick up the tab for everything else: the flights, the transfers, accommodation, all the functions, all the meals. Even in Hawaii, they decided to give us a day to explore the island, and they give us an envelope with cash in it, and they called it Dine Around Cash. So a couple of $100 to go and do what you want, because they didn't provide lunch that day, so they thought we would like to go out and enjoy it and do a tour and stuff. So, well looked after.
Good.
Without a doubt.
I am so sorry about this, guys. I'm struggling with it, and I'm doing my best, I promise you.
I think, Scott, if you select the third one, you can.
I'd like to. With it. Yeah, I'd like to. I'm trying really hard to select it, but it doesn't want to.
Can you X off it all completely and then open it
again? Let's see. No, it won't let me. Because I'm recording. Maybe let's pause the recording. Let's do that, because we've got some nice slides. I'll try again. I've never had that happen before, where it's sort of given up on us. It's this one here. And I'm trying to shunt it down to the next slide.
Yeah.
But it won't let me. How about that? There's something about that turtle. I don't know what it was.
It was set so that you could have David come back and
well,
do this
well,
again.
listen. We know that you had some great holidays, so that's the important thing. So now we're going out of this situation of this last year, which has thrown the world into chaos. And I mean, I'm hearing stories that you know, it's actually been a really good thing for our industry generally, and specifically for companies like ours, which are involved in nutrition and health. I mean, have you noticed any difference yourself in terms of people's reaction, wanting the product or wanting to know more about the business opportunity?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think people are they're more open to. I mean, everywhere they look on the radio and any of the media, everyone's talking about you know, job security, job losses, store closures, businesses closing, and also immune system. So that's I mean, that just reigns the news at the moment. So yeah, so people are, I think, a bit more open to looking at options. People that I think felt they were pretty secure, you know, with their business, that they really didn't feel the need for another income stream or a plan B, and never even thought about the idea of a plan B before, are now thinking, you know, here, you know, for example, you know, a dentist practice probably think, you know, when I worked for 30 years at my dentist practice, and then suddenly a world pandemic comes along and the government closes them down for 4 months, you know. So people like that, I find they're starting to sort of realize that maybe a second income or even a multiple income streams are sensible thing to do.
And you have a dentist in your team, don't you?
I have, yeah.
So how did that come about? Is he your dentist and you spoke to him?
He's my dentist, yeah.
Right, okay.
And I mean, I've obviously been going to him for years, and I always, you know, I brought the product up. To be honest with you, the trips have done probably more for my business with folks like that, where you can say, "Oh, I'm heading to, you know, Honolulu, Hawaii," you know, and you're going, "Oh, okay," you know, well, no, it's all expenses paid. You know, my part-time business company I'm helping expand.
Okay.
You know, and you're thinking, wow, you know, and this is all done just on a part-time basis. And you know, when that happens, people think there must be some incredible business done if a company is going to go to that expense to fly you to the other side of the world, really. So things like that. So the like of the dentist, my dentist, you know, I was heading to Palm Springs in the winter. You know, it was cold and rainy in the UK, and I'm heading to the sun in November, and then the next year I'm heading to you know, Hawaii, and then the next year I'm heading to the Mayan Riviera in Cancun, Mexico. You know, and you're thinking, here, what is this? What are you doing here? You know. So
and is he chasing your tail? Does he want to go on these trips?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, that would be appealing to them, you know. Whether he'll put the work in or not, I don't know. But it's certainly But it got him involved in asking what it was, you know. And every time I went in, I deliberately didn't bring anything up. He then brought up, what about Immunical, and how does this work, and how does that work, you know? So, and certainly this last year, I found that people that I spoke to, it's like never fall out with anyone, always leave the door open to anyone you speak to. Because people I spoke to years ago are now coming back, you know, saying, "Are you still doing that, you know, health thing?" You know, and probably part of them are hoping you're going to say, "Oh no, that was wasn't successful," and then they can feel good about themselves, and they didn't get involved back 4 or 5 years ago. But whenever you turn around and say, it's phenomenal, it's crazy, we're expanding into Europe, and oh wow, you know. So I've got some people back re-engaged that way.
And I don't want to put Stephen on the spot, but seeing as you're here, Stephen, you know, I mean, this is father and son. So when did you first start to take an interest in it, Stephen?
The business side of things, sort of the past year or so, but obviously taking the product from same as my dad, April 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started to get interested in getting an extra income stream the past year, just before the pandemic, before we knew about coronavirus and everything, which was a pretty good call.
Well, life has changed for you too, right? So you're now a dad, I think, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations on that one.
Yeah, so a lot of time's been taken up by that, but yeah, I've been out of it for a wee bit now, but wanting to start getting back into it a bit now that he's 2.5 months now, so no more excuses at the start.
So you may be all off, hopefully
well.
all off to Hawaii, to Miami at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's it.
So what else is happening, David, with you in terms of your business? Because this is not full time for you. Clearly, it's very part time, and you've got a really good result out of it in the years you've been doing these lovely trips. I mean, where do you see it going for you over the next couple of years? Because we've now, gone from Canada to America to South America, which is huge for us. Absolutely amazing what's happened there. I got involved in July of last year, and with Aurelio, we're now having to focus on 4 new countries in Europe. We've got Portugal, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. The British, for you guys in the States and Mexico, our Mexico or our Florida is Spain, right? So we all like to head over there, and that's a great motivation. Europe is right on our doorstep, isn't it? So how are you seeing that people could take advantage of those new markets, David?
Well, I mean, I think one of the appealing thing is here we have a 25-year-old company with all this research backing, testimonials, and track history into a brand new market. So it's like starting fresh, but yet you've got all this backup and support. So I think that's important. The residual income, for me, with my other business, I'm very hands-on. So that's the attraction. The attraction is, do the job right once and basically get paid on it month after month after month. And I'm with my team, I'm trying to concentrate on growing that. So, growing, trying to determine who the leaders are, working with them, locking arms with them, and growing that end of the business, and really starting to sort of branch out. And this last few months, just everybody you meet, you're asking someone, who do you know who knows someone in Spain, in Portugal, in Germany, to try and branch out into those various countries and take advantage of that. I think which is important,
Well, I mean, what I know certainly from my experience is the Italians are hypochondriacs, generally speaking. So when you go down to the breakfast table in the hotel in the morning, there are about 5 or 10 different bottles of supplements they're taking. They're very warm to this idea, and I think we're going to have great results. And there's Italian communities everywhere in the world, isn't there? And from an English-speaking perspective, they've been in our communities for many, many, many years, but have all got connections back. And in my stepson and his father, they've got a little place down in the south of Italy, the La Bella family, and they go there every year, and they've got their same friends and same families they've known for many, many years. So if you connect with these groups now, it's really important. There's some stuff coming up in the chat here. I want to just say, mine is asking us, how is it you deal with recommendations over here when they tell you they need a prescription? Well, I don't think we really have that problem, Mina. We don't have prescriptions for this product. It's classed as a food here, and it doesn't come under that medicine thing like it does in Canada. So it's slightly different. What do you have any experience of that, David, yourself?
No, haven't. Again,
I don't think it's an issue here really for us at all. We simply talk about the health benefits of it. There is, I mean, I guess there is a sort of a lazy attitude amongst some people because we have a national health service and we get free medication. But I think also this pandemic is changing that attitude, and people are beginning to realize that that it's not just the medicine and the vaccines, but it's about looking after your immune system, making sure you're getting fresh air, vitamin D for sunshine, getting good nutrition, and people are doing more, preparing their food more at home, whereas before they were racing around and getting takeaways and stuff. People are actually spending time listening to food programs and nutritional advice. So I think there's a shift. I don't know if you've experienced that, David, but certainly I'm hearing that there is definitely a shift in people's attitude towards nutrition now.
Yeah, no, I think there would be certainly exercise and stuff like that as well. There's a lot more people out and about. And I think with the whole pandemic, I think there's probably certain people, there's two extremes. There's people who will start to, look after themselves, etc. And then there's the other side where people will just, sit about, binge, watch TV, do nothing. But the majority of people that I know, and certainly when you're out and about, people are more mindful of looking after themselves.
Yeah, well, there's a guy I was speaking with today. He's just joined our leaders group. You might have seen his name pop up there. He's a personal trainer in London, but he's from Colombia. Okay, mm-hmm. So he's now in our group. We had an hour and a half conversation today, and I mean, he was saying that there's a lot of personal trainers in London that are now in the chat groups. They're sort of personal trainer chat groups, asking if there are any products that their own peer group recommend. And this is a really important thing, because the personal trainers, he was telling me he charges £600 a month, okay, per client, and they pay in advance. That's interesting, eh? They don't pay per session, they pay in advance. So he gets their commitment, and then these people are listening to him like a doctor, if you like. They're taking his advice on nutritional support, and I found that fascinating today. That's a market that I've been quite passionate about tapping into for a long time, and it seems that because of the COVID situation, they're now really wanting to have supplements and products that they can get passive income from their clients. So I just wanted to throw that in there at the same time. It's an area you guys need to kind of look at, because clearly I learned a lot from him today, telling me that they're very open to this now. But what they're not open to is the network marketing side of it, which they perceive to be pyramid selling. So to very much lead with the products, which is exactly what you've been telling us, David. That's really sincere approach of people's well-being and welfare first, and I think that's an important step that personal trainers will appreciate, because they're giving good advice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anybody like that in your team that rings a bell with you. Do they?
No, I found now I haven't approached anyone within the last 12 months regarding PTs and things, but I found a number of PTs at the beginning that I spoke to were hard work, to be fair.
Yeah, I get that. But I think they're open more now from what I'm seeing. Well, certainly from that conversation, that's listening to one guy who is a PT and charging pretty strong fees. And getting that feedback,
No, it sounds positive. That's good.
How about you, Stephen? Do you do anything like that at all? You have any experience with personal trainers or going to gyms or anything?
Yeah, well, I've spoken to a couple of PTs. I've been working out for a good while now, so I've actually worked in a gym and stuff, so I do know a lot of people in that sort of industry. But
well, there's a time. I think timing is what this is about now.
Yeah,
to revisit with them.
Yeah, that's it, because it would have been before the pandemic. They probably felt comfortable with the money they were getting in. Again, was with the pyramid scheme sort of thing. I've got that fired at me a few times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's looking at revisiting it again.
Okay, so let's tackle this prickly subject a little bit while we're on the phone, because I mean, I know that, for instance, there's a few new people listening. Objections that come up. You've been doing this 10 years, David, so you must have heard a lot of objections, and you might have some tips for us how to overcome them. Can you give us any examples that are, where you've actually had that sort of thrown in your face? Somebody saying, well, they've got 200 quid's worth of vitamin pills, and maybe they'll talk to you once they're all gone. I mean, how do you overcome situations like that, for instance?
Well, I mean, it depends. If somebody says, I've just purchased £200 worth of stuff, etc., and that, I would then explain, obviously you haven't. But what I would say, obviously you haven't looked at the information I sent you properly.
And tell us what happened, because I know you've had a situation exactly like that recently.
Yes. Yeah.
So real live events. How did that come about? Not the introduction, but how did you overcome that situation?
Well, basically it was, we bought this, we've just spent, I think it was like £600 on these various supplements. There's about 3 months supply. We're going to use them. We've decided, I sent the prospect some information on the Immunical, and agreed to follow up. Back to the follow up, it was, this is what we've done. We've just purchased there a few weeks before we spoke to you this. We're going to use those up first, and then we'll give you a call back, and we might then order the Immunical.
Sure.
And my first reaction was, you obviously haven't looked at the information I sent you properly. And I just said that and went quiet. And they went, well, why? What do you mean? I said, because if you had have looked at the information I sent properly and done your proper research on it, you wouldn't be saying that. And I was like, oh, right, why is that? And then we get into the conversation of how important glutathione is, et cetera, and how all of these other things don't work properly without glutathione. So that was what swung it then. So they says, right, okay, well, and then they obviously ordered the product and started to use the product. So it's early days yet to see what benefits they're going to get on it. But that was how I overcome that.
Right. So what's important there is that these people were clearly interested in nutrition. They'd already invested £600 in other products, right? Mm-hmm. And you're explaining to them that those products will be more effective by using Immunical 2, because it actually assimilates more effectively in the body, right?
Yep, that's right.
And again, you see, this is bringing me back to the personal trainers, because that's something that they need to be aware of. This is an education process, and when we see the initial resistance, is because people just don't know, right? They need to understand it better. And you were very brave, and you continued with the dialogue, because some people would back off. But I think it's important, because your conviction, that's what it's. Tell us more about that, because that 10 years of conviction.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, obviously, like anything, you hear people saying you have to believe in the product, and I think that's very important. And that gets easier with time, because you get more and more feedback from the folks you introduce the product to. So you start to hear some wow testimonials and some life-changing testimonials, and you can be very confident knowing that not only you've heard these testimonials, you've met people, you've seen what this product can do, but also that you know that it's scientifically all backed up as well. So no matter what way, you can be very confident in going forward with it. Whether you're talking to a medical professional or a layperson, it doesn't matter, because you've got that backup. I was talking to a lady today, and she's going through some treatment for a condition, and she says, I want to run it past my consultant, my doctor. And I said, sure, that's fine. She says, have you got any leaflets that I could take to him. So basically what I done was I sent her the insert, the PDF for the insert of the physician's test reference guide and the CPS, the Compendium of Pharmaceuticals and Specialties. And I said, that's doctor's talk. If someone shows them that, they can't knock the product. It's not a leaflet or some nonsense. This is, here's something that's inserted in a medical book regarding the product, so they can't knock it. I think that's important. But so things like that. So just be confident, and that was the key. Confident in the business side as well.
Yeah, I think it's something said to me many years ago when I started getting involved in nutritional products, and it's as good today as it was then. Is that you need to become a product of the product, right? I mean, you need to be absolutely consistent on the product every day, and as many of the products as you can afford to take, because you need to have experience on all of them. Yeah. My cocktail in the morning is a Munical Platinum, and a booster all mixed together in a mango smoothie, and I scrape the bottom of the cup out. It's so delicious. Yeah. and I'm an old guy, right? So I'm 63, and I'm bouncing around with full of energy all day. I'm doing 100 press-ups in the morning. I'm weightlifting. I'm cycling. I haven't had a cold, a cough, or anything. So, I'm a product of the product, and people see me and they go, yeah, clearly you are, And I think that's so important, rather than it's the emotion that you give out when you discuss the product.
Absolutely. Whenever I'm chatting to anyone, in the last, I say to everyone that, and I mean, it's the honest truth, that I've been paid on the business side, I've been paid every single month since starting the business in April 2015. There hasn't been 1 month that I haven't received an income from the company. And the product hasn't let me down in 6 years, So, slow responders, fast responders, but, everyone has had a result. And that's a pretty bold statement to make, but that's right. If it's, I think it was Keith always said, Immunical works every time given time. And it's back to the mindset. This is a 3 to 4 month thing. You need to, and you will get results, so people get results, they stay on it, and they tell others. That's how it works.
And then, so the product we've really talked about. What about the business? Because, to as you said, to keep you interested for 10 years, you've had a check every month, right? And I think it's important that people understand that it's the early stages of building your business that are very important. What you do in the first 90 days of getting involved, maybe say 120 days, because I think your first month you're kind of scratching around trying to get your head into the product, into the business, understanding more, and researching. So after your first month, the next 90 days activity, if somebody's starting out now and wanting to really establish their business, what would you suggest would be a good way forward, David?
Well, basically with me, back in those days, it took about 7 or 8 days, working days, to get our pack. And I had qualified silver before my pack arrived.
You qualified before it arrived? Wow.
Yeah. So, and I tell that to any new person starting off, once you say, right, you're going to give this a go, we'll register you, you'll have your website, you'll have your ID number, you're in business within the next 5 minutes. You don't have to wait to get your box of product. And, in the first week, people were asking me, what does it taste like? I said, I don't know, I haven't got it yet. So, but because it didn't matter. It didn't matter what it is, because this is what was happening. So, so that's what we did. And I think, it was one of those things where, try this with me. I'm going to try this product to improve my health. You've got a health condition. Why don't you try it with me? There's no point. And I say to everyone that I speak to is, don't keep this a secret. I hear it all the time. People say, okay, I'll take the product. and I'll give it 3 months. I'll see how I feel in 3 months before I tell anyone.
Yeah.
Right. So I always say, that's very unfair. Don't keep it a secret. What if you didn't tell this to your friend? In 3 months' time, you get a result, and then you tell your friend, and then your friend finds out and gets a benefit and finds out that you knew about this 3 months ago and you didn't even tell them. Or worse still, 3 months down the line, you don't get a result because you've no major health issues that you're looking to improve. You're just maintaining health. What happens then? And I hear that a lot too from folks. They say, I'm going to try this I'll try it for 3 months and see how I feel. And I say, well, what result are you expecting? What result do you want to get? And then they there's a bit of an awkward pause and a funny expression, and they go, well, I don't know, because there's maybe nothing wrong with them that they know of, but yet they've told you that they want to see this result. They want, what's this magic that's going to happen, there's things like that. So I think it's just setting people up for, what they expect, and just get on with it. I think once you know, or you feel that you have a duty to share this with others, not to sell it to everyone or make everybody buy it, but a duty to let them know. Don't make the decision for the person. Give them the information. Let them decide whether they want it or not.
Very good advice. Very good advice.
I learned that way back in the start, because I brought this guy in just as an example. I got this guy into the business, and he was moaning and groaning, complaining. People were saying no. I spoke to 3 people. They all said no. This is a disaster. One of those people. And 2 or 3 months into it, I got a call from a lady, and she said, "Are you the guy that I can get a Munical from?" And I said yes, and took her details down and quizzed her a little bit who she was. The name sort of rang a bell, and then I realized that it was actually this guy's sister-in-law.
Oh, okay.
So I played a little bit of a trick on him. So I rang him up and I says, "Hi, how are you getting on?" He goes, "Oh, no," and he was moaning and groaning as normal. And I says, "Who have you spoken to?" Yeah, he says, "What about?" And I mentioned her name. And his reaction was, "Oh no, she wouldn't be interested."
Wow.
I says, "Really?" He says, "Yep." I says, "Well, actually, I'm just off the phone to her. She spent the last 3 weeks, a friend of hers through work heard about Immunical, traced me, took her 3 weeks to trace my name and number, and I was just ordered, so I took the order from her. And I was probably too nice to give it to him, and I put it under his ID number and stuff, but it was more of a lesson to him, not to prejudge, basically.
Definitely, not to prejudge is a really good one, and also not to be frightened to approach certain people. What we call a chicken list. So
Yes.
you're too scared to call them. And I learned a really, really painful lesson with that one very early in my career in network marketing, because one particular guy was, he was a very successful London lawyer. And he was the owner of a gymnasium where I used to go. And I kind of had him on my list, but I didn't have the courage to speak to him. And I was at a recruitment meeting for the company one evening, and he walked in the room with this girl. And I said, "Oh, hi, Alan. What are you doing here?" He said, "Well, I've just joined this with Christine." This guy went on to become one of the most successful distributors in that company. And the girl that sponsored him, Christine Lewis, she became a millionaire on the back of his work. And that was a very painful lesson I learned a long time ago. And I've never had a chicken list since. I've always talked to everybody, even if they said, "No, I don't care." At least I told them.
No, true. Brilliant story, yeah.
Yeah. There's some little gems here for you guys tonight, because this is the thing. When you've been around the product for 10 years like David, and there's little things that you pick up, little nuances. So I really do hope you're taking notes on this, guys, because there's some great little tips coming out here. So taking things forward into Europe, as we are in this next year or two, um, how are you going to expand your organization into those other countries?
Yeah, basically by working, it's, as I said sort of earlier, about reaching out to the groups, if I can, in the UK and Ireland with family and those places. So asking people as we go about, just working through the network, who do they know, or would they know someone who knows someone, that type of thing. Really just doing that and getting to know people and explaining what we're doing, looking for introductions. And that's all you really want from folks, is an introduction to someone, because you just don't know who they would know. So that will be the plan going forward for the rest of this year.
There's some interesting connections here, because Minor, you introduced Jose, right? So that's coming from South America over to Ireland. How did you guys meet, by the way? Can I just ask you, because it's interesting for us all to hear that. Minor.
Yeah, well, actually, Jose is a friend of a very good friend of mine here in Mexico. So she was actually the one who talked to him about the product, and she referred him to me. So we had a call conference, and we spoke about everything he has doubt about, and I certainly understand that he verified everything I said with Letty, my friend. So he decided to go with it because she was convinced, and she is convinced about the efficiency of the product.
Yeah.
And that's my experience. I don't know, Jose, what's yours?
Okay, so Jose decided. So Jose's in Dublin. So we go. Mine is in Mexico. Jose's in Dublin. He got involved. And you originate from where, Jose?
From Mexico as well, from the East Coast.
From Mexico as well, but living in Dublin. So have you introduced anyone into the business yet?
Well, I try. I find out that this is a lot of people interested in the product, but unfortunately, with the situation that we have here, most of the people is in the POP. The people is not interested at the moment to expend any money and that kind of new stuff, because as you know, is getting 350 quid a week is not the best time to invest in something else. So I find out that it's about 10 people that I spoke to them, and that's exactly the same answer.
Okay, and what about back towards Mexico? Any contacts there?
Yeah, I spoke with my family, but I think at the moment, you see, because they are healthy and they are well, they don't really went into the information or nothing like that.
Okay, so this is very new. This is why I wanted to kind of explore it a little bit. But you've been taking the product how long now? Is it 2 weeks or something like this? Is it 3 weeks maybe?
Oh no! I started in the end of November.
Okay.
Then because Brexit, I stopped for a month, and then I start again when I receive my new product. Well, the refill product, should I say?
Okay.
So,
are you noticing any difference in your health with it?
But to be honest, I've been not always, besides a little hiccup that I had, but because my profession, I had to keep healthy, and they keep me on the supervision my medical every year.
Yeah.
I haven't had. The only thing I can say is I will find out when I go again to my medical and see what's the story with the blood and everything, because I feel exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, that's good. If you're feeling well, that's good.
No. Yeah. What I try to say is I wasn't expecting a dramatic change either, because thanks God I'm always good and healthy. But no, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Good. Well, it's early days. I only wanted to ask you both because I'm trying to illustrate the point from bouncing from one country to another, as we've got to do now. And our focus obviously apart from Europe, we can also reconnect with Canada, English speaking, and United States English speaking. You know, there's a lot of opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just on that, Scott.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, the last 6 years, I've income coming in from Spain, from Canada, even from Barbados. You know, we don't have via Miami. You know, and that was just all through someone who introduced someone who introduced someone, because you know that's how, you know, in a lot of those places. I mean, I haven't been to Barbados, but yet I have an income coming in from it. I haven't been to Miami yet. Vancouver, I've some business in Vancouver and Philadelphia. You know, so as well as Barcelona. So it's and obviously the UK and Ireland. So it's incredible how just when you start to talk to some folks and one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you have a connection in another country, as you've just proven here tonight.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, there's lots of people we could speak to on the call that have had that same experience. You know, we are definitely efficiently networking from country to country, but certain people have said to me, "Oh, well, we don't speak French and we don't speak German and we don't speak Italian and we don't speak Portuguese." It's really not an issue, because you find people from those countries living in your own place. So whether that be in Mexico or whether that be in Northern Ireland or London, there's people from all of those countries, and they speak the local language. So whether that be English or Spanish, you know, they'll be speaking that language, and you can make those connections in that way. It's always the best way to start, is right in your own backyard. You don't need to be getting on airplanes and flying around to meet people for some time yet. You know, that's really not essential at all. But yeah, we're very excited about Europe. Portugal being the first country to come on after Spain, and as we come out of this lockdown and people start moving about again, I notice the travel agents are starting to advertise again. So it's saying that we can get away this summer, and I think people are just. Well, there's going to be a mad rush to the airport, I think, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible. So,
we were told here in Ireland that we had to stay in Ireland for the whole summer now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I bet people will be sneaking out, though, don't worry.
Oh, no, they will. They always do, but officially we're supposed to be around here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but we'll get through it. So in winding it up tonight, David, what would be your final thoughts to share with everyone?
I suppose with me, the business is very part-time, but I think a full-time attitude, I think would be key. I know if you try and do something if this is a part-time business for you, if you do something every day, doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something. So whenever you go to bed at night, if you can think, okay, what did I do to move my Immunotech business along today? If the answer is nothing, you need to work twice as hard at it tomorrow, you know? So I think that's the case. Do a little bit every day, because it's a bit like the gym. It's a bit like going to the gym where, you know, you go every day, then you go 3 days a week, then you go once a week, and then before you know it, it's a month has passed and you've done nothing. And then you fade away and you fizzle out. So I think it's important to be mindful, and certainly in a working week, you know, Monday to Friday, try and do something every day. Well, that'd only be 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, but do something, you know, make a couple of phone calls, send some information, you know, do a meeting with your team, do something every day and get into sort of a pattern, I think is key.
Well, certainly keeping in touch with your team important. That's keeping everybody's motivation up, sharing stories, plugging into these. We've got a really good presentation coming up on Saturday, which Keith, are you still there?
No, Keith's off. He's
gone. Okay, so there's one being Keith and John Solider put one together on Saturday, which is also at 7 o'clock. I can tell you that of all the Zoom-taculars I've listened to, I apparently there's some stuff that's coming out on this one on Saturday, which is going to be really, really important to hear, particularly about certain elements of our health. I won't give it out right now, but it's going to be really worthwhile if you can get into that meeting on Saturday. If you haven't got the link, I've put it into the group, and if you still haven't found it, let me know, text me, and I'll let you have it.
Mhm.
But yeah, for now, thank you, David. Appreciate it, and to say, lots of golden nuggets there I got from it, and I hope everyone else did. Stephen, thank you to you too for your input, and Mina and Jose. I'm looking forward to our next guest next week. Again, I'm not going to tell you right now because I want to announce it a little later on. But there's some really good stuff coming along. We've had some great speakers. Apart from my techie problems tonight, we've got some really good elements out of this recording. And so I will share it with everybody if you let me know if you want a copy. I'll fire one over to you directly this evening, David.
Okay.
And if, you know, the dialogue was great. Maybe my techie skills need to improve, but apart from that, I think we had a good session. So thanks everyone for joining us again, and we'll see you soon. Yeah, take care.
Super. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Scott.
Take care.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
David.
Thank you.
Bye, Jose.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.